Hey everyone, Tom here, Battle Rap Resume, back with yet another episode. This is a solo episode. I enjoy doing these occasionally, these little countdowns and whatnot. I did one a few months ago doing my top 10 favourite bars. Definitely check that out. You know, that got a lot of interest. To be honest with you, episodes like this are easier to put together because I don't have to wait on a guest or a time zone. So I thought I'd just do a deep dive, really, looking back at every battle rap event that I've been to, obviously through doing the show and before the show as well. I've been to a fair few events. I wouldn't say I've been to, a huge number, and there's definitely tons of events that I don't know why I didn't attend. I think part of it was the fact that I was in Liverpool, and, a lot of these mega events, your checkpoints and your sunburns and you set the standard. It's no real excuse. It's fucking Liverpool to London. It's not far at all. But yeah, I wasn't quite as into it, I suppose, to a certain extent. And definitely when you know more people and you're a bit more behind the scenes to a certain extent during the interviews and whatever, you feel a bit more obliged to go, and battle events are always fucking fun to attend. So I figured today would be quite a rambly, ramshackle sort of thing. Please don't expect any disciplined interrogation of the metrics of these events. I'm just going to go back, going to sort of, talk about all the events that I've been to, mostly in order. I think I've sort of put these into some sort of semblance of chronological order. Yeah, go through what I remember, any anecdotes of note, any funny things that went down, also the battles that I enjoyed and all that sort of stuff. So just before I get into that, please follow the show, as I always say, at Battle Rap Resume. Get in touch with me, battlerapresume@gmail.com. On the email, Patreon is there. Patreon is always there, patreon.com/Battle Rap Resume. At the time of me dropping this, I believe my top 10 most disliked King of the Ronalds video will be on there, which will be out on the channel soon, subsequently. Really fun video to put together. I think it's actually my longest top 10 dislikes. I've been doing it bit by bit over the past year or so, if you can believe that. Always had it in the back burner or had other projects on the go. So yeah, that was a really fun one to put together. That'll be on the Patreon. I'm also starting the preliminary work on a giant deep dive into the WRCs. So that'll be in the WRCs 2007. So most people are aware of the finals in New York, but obviously the finals were drawing from, I think it was 8 different pools or something like that, cities all over the world. So obviously Saurus and Ilmac came from the LA division, the Cali division, and in that division there's 40 battles. Same for London with and Archaic, and same for Houston with Zealy and Franchise, and everyone else. So the idea is I'm going to do an episode going through each different division, all the battles. I've just toted up all the battles now for the Saurus Ilmac division, got them in order, slowly starting to go through and make my notes. So yeah, that's coming up soon on the channel as well. iTunes is there if you want to support us as well. Please leave us a review on there. Okay, so let's start off by going back through. So I got into Don't Flop. I think I said this before on the Battle Rap Resume 50, which was a soliloquy episode with my good friend Sam Wiles. The first podcast that I did that you might be aware of was Down in the Hole, which is a deep dive into the music and history of Tom Waits. Tom Waits is my all-time hero, really, in terms of a songwriter, in terms of an artist. So we just went through all the albums. And then after that, first thing I did was Battle Rap Resume, so I got Sam on to interview me, and we kind of went through this. So me and Battle Rap, I got into Battle Rap through the most generic means possible. My good friend Sean, who I lived with at university, knew that I was into hip-hop and knew that I was into poetry and, performance and that sort of stuff, and writing, and he was like, oh my god, have you seen this? This teacher battles this student, blah, blah. Put on Gris Blizzard. Soon after, he put on Lunacy and Matter versus Eddie P and Frisco, and then it was all over for me. I think it really set in when you start, connecting the dots really and watching other battles of people you like. So I was watching other Matter battles because, there weren't that many Lunacy battles to get through. Matter had a bit more of a back catalogue after we watched all the Luna battles. And yeah, seeing Matter versus Soul was just, incredibly eye-opening, really. Still my all-time favourite battle. So from there, that would have been about March, April 2012, something like that. We're in our second year. And obviously, I wanted to go to fucking events, and it was a great time for it. It was a boom time. There were a lot of things going on around the country. A lot of these people wanting to see Don't Flop. It was a hugely viable brand then. So I remember going on, couldn't wait, really. Needed something to come up. Ideally wanted something in Liverpool or Birmingham, but anything would do. And what came about was Blam Battles Live Art and Music. This was Chronicles' imprint up north. I think he sort of spearheaded these events. This went down Saturday the 23rd of June 2012, which is fucking crazy, more than 6 years ago now. And this is at Night and Day Cafe, which obviously is in the northern quarter of Manchester. I drove down there. I drove down there with my good friends Ryan and Danny. Danny's actually been on the show a few times. We did like top 5 Don't Flop battles, and we did an 8 Mile review ages ago as well. I need to get Danny back on the show actually, but I've had him on a fair few times, and Ryan as well, who hasn't been on the show, but he's kind of the guy that I've dragged to a lot of events. I dragged him to 7th birthday and stuff like that, and these people are also at BRR in the park and whatever. So yeah, this was Blam, and this was my first ever battle rap event. This was so fucking exciting. I remember us getting there, and I think doors, doors were open about 7 or something like that. And I was like, oh, we got to get there early. We got to get a space or whatever. Obviously, we attend there, and the bar's just the bar. They haven't even started the preliminary preparations to begin this thing. So we were waiting around for a long time, and the whole event really was marked by this lethargy. I know they've got slightly better at it, but kind of still the fucking same. But here, when Don't Flop was this juggernaut, there were just hours and hours between battles. And anyone that's been to the Night and Day Cafe, which is in central northern quarter, really, really cool venue, really sort of classic hipster post-millennial bar with lots of weird crap on the walls and tables and a long stage room. And, a lot of events went down here at this period. Sensor versus Psychosis Holocaust, which is one of my all-time favourite battles, went down there as well. And, it was a kind of a classic, sort of like a fiddler's kind of outpost for them in this mode. So, yeah, I remember getting there. I remember being outside, and there was a long queue, this card is decent, but, it doesn't really dictate like a huge SM8 queue sort of thing, but there were tons of people winding around the building. I remember us all chilling there. I remember seeing like and Mickey and Kruger in the queue. I remember Mickey walking up and down the queue and talking to people and really was a man of the people. And, I, like everyone else, like, fucking hell, it's Mickey, It's crazy. And everyone else was there as well. Soul was there. Soul didn't battle, but Soul was there. Blizzard was there as well, of course. A lot of people in the mix. I remember getting inside the room and seeing like Matter at the bar and whatever. The sort of close comfort quarters of the subscription box were shattered there. Yeah, saw those guys, and then was so fucking excited to see these battles. And the first battle happened, and I'm sure a lot of other people have felt as well. I spoke to a lot of people on the show about this as well. But when you're there, and when you hear your first Bagnall 3-2-1, and you suddenly realise that all these videos that you've watched online, you are now in it. I don't think I'm visible in the background of any of these. You can definitely see my friend Danny. My friend Danny's much taller than me, and he has glasses, and you can see the glasses glint in the crowd. Like, obviously, if you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't see it, but I definitely know where he is there. Can't really see myself. So, yeah, and then the battle commenced. It was just such an exciting prospect for me to really see this in the flesh, finally. Well, only after a few months, but I've been watching Don't Flop heavy, since the Soul Matter discovery. And, yeah, I think it was his kit versus K-Snatch. That's the one that's named on the flyer. Thankfully, the flyer is still online, but I don't know if that is actually the battle that went down. I'm not sure. They both got some bars out. They both choked badly, though. I think there was a hell of a lot of choking in that battle. I think I remember one bar that I was impressed with in a kind of juvenile sense, but looking back now, I've heard it in other battles, so it wasn't even an original bar. It's like, your family's really fucked up. You fingered your sister and came out wearing your dad's wedding ring, and, that kind of post-lunar orifice exploration bar. And I remember afterwards, came up after the battle and was pretty pissed off, and he was like, it's not going to be uploaded. That's not going to be on the channel. Like, I think this was before Don't Flop Extra, just before as well, maybe around this time. When was DF Extra? No, DF Extra was 5th birthday. So yeah, this was way before Don't Flop Extra. And yeah, he just sort of laid the law down, basically, quality control on that, and it just wasn't good enough. That battle went down, and then the first battle that I saw properly was my my arch nemesis, poetically, who is now my boss to a certain extent. Briggsy battled Nash. I remember Nash being really touchy in this battle and a bit of an asshole in this battle, and I prefer Briggsy's stuff. I remember Briggsy had this line where he's like, "You're as subtle as a train crash on a boat," or something like that. I can't really remember. Obviously, I'm not gonna, like, this is just like pockets of things that I want to share with you. Like Briggsy Nash, I have to see that again. Jefferson Price versus Joker Star went down as well. And this is before I knew who either of these guys were. And I just remember Jefferson going on about how Joker Star was called the God and that. And, you know, it would be fun actually to go back and see some of these battles. But yeah, don't really recall Briggsy versus Nash, Jefferson versus Joker Price, Jefferson Price versus Joker Star apart from that. Then we had our two headliner battles. Matter Verb T was a fucking great battle. Really, really seriously good battle. I think Matter, was majorly on the come up at this point. This is kind of, pre-distinction, pre-him battling Saurus, but post the Lunar affiliation. And Matter's just a beast in of himself. He continues to prove that. And I remember Verb clowning on the way Matter rhymes as well, kinda like a drunk driver or something like that, like his kind of rhythms, the on and off, the binary nature of that. And Verb was sick as well. And then there was like a 2-3 hour break or something like that. There was like a really long break before eventually we got into O'Shea versus Pamphlet, which, yeah, that was great to see as a headliner. I remember there was a guy to my direct right who kept screaming throughout the battle. I don't know if you can catch it on camera. O'Shea is king! Just kept shouting that, O'Shea is this regal meister. So, yeah, O'Shea versus Pamphlet. That was Blam 2012. And then there was a long gap, Fourth birthday came around. I remember Shotty Arsenal coming out. And it's weird looking back. Like, I was into Don't Flop, but it was more like I was into battle rap and just sort of learning all about it. And I wasn't necessarily into like the minutiae, and I didn't know what events were coming up and blah, blah, blah. And, it can seem this, to a newcomer, quite an impenetrable thing, I suppose. How do you come to these? Obviously just buy a fucking ticket and turn up, but, you don't know when they're going to come and whatever. So the next event that I went to was also Don't Flop. And this was when I was living still in Liverpool. And anyone that knows Liverpool, I actually lived on Lime Street itself, just opposite the train station in the centre of town, in a very grotty student digs. It was just above the comic shop. I don't know if that's still there. I think it's called like Two Worlds or Beyond Worlds or something like that. So yeah, we lived, bang centre there. And this event went down, the Don't Flop Liverpool event. I don't know if people remember this event. This was on the Saturday, the 18th of May, 2013. This is at the Dome, which is in Renshaw Street, which is just basically the connecting street from Lime Street, just further down the road. Really interesting venue. I mean, it literally is a fucking high-ceiling, Sistine-type dome, which in terms of the audio was not complimentary. There was lots of sort of boomy echo, both in the room and both on the mics, on the cam. A few things that were interesting about this event. Again, I got my friend Ryan to come with, and my friend Alex as well. Alex, who actually did the Battle Rap Resume theme tune. Alex Cottrell, who's a great friend of mine, incredibly talented musician, and yeah, did the BRR theme tune, which a lot of people always comment that they love. So everything directed towards that guy. He came as well. We lived together at the time, so that was cool to bring him to the event. And if I recall correctly as well, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this with Shuffle and Marlowe. This was one of the things that Don't Flop did that was quite interesting, where they offered up the potential battlers, but not the matchups. And the matchups, the permutations of those were then voted on. So that's why we got Marlowe versus Most Prob and Ricky Riley versus Shuffle T. I remember us coming into the room and being pat down quite thoroughly, if I recall. I remember Alex being quite perturbed at that. And we got into the room. There's quite a lot of people there. Like, you can see on camera as well. Like, it's a huge room, though, so it's always going to look quite empty. Like, really, really nice venue, but I can understand why they didn't go back. I know Don't Flop did go back to Liverpool quite a bit in 2014, 2015 on sort of Raise the Bar stuff. And they used the Casimir, the Kaz, which is a venue that's since closed, which is, brilliant venue. I saw and So Watch You From Afar there on the Gangs tour in 2010. Who else did I see there? I saw Ghostface Killer there as well. So, yeah, really, really sick venue that makes sense they moved there. So, yeah, this went down. I remember coming in and seeing J90 versus Jay Short. And Jay Short, if I recall, I haven't watched the battle back. I think this battle went on the demo channel. He was doing loads of like TGI Friday bars and stuff like that. And Big J versus Big Sarters is on the card. I don't know if that actually... Let's have a look now. I don't know if that battle actually went down back in the day. No, it looks like that battle didn't go down for whatever reason. But yeah, I'm sure we're missing out on a classic there. And then Marlowe versus Most Prob, which was a cool battle. Again, a really inspired matchup. Ricky versus Shuffle T. Ricky Riley was kind of an affiliate of Osh back in the day. Well, still is, but they used to do a lot more stuff together. Ricky was a pretty cool battler, actually. I really liked his style. It was nice that he was making a hometown return here in Liverpool. The co-main event was Innuendo versus Youth Oracle, which didn't go down for whatever reason. Unfortunately, that was postponed. That's a pretty cool event. I think they had some sort of back and forth prior to that. I'm not too sure. And the actual headliner was supposed to be O'Shea versus Madness, which didn't go down until another event that I was at, April Fools, when was that? It was like 2017. So, a lot of time had passed since then, like 4 years. So that didn't go down. Blizzard was there. O'Shea versus Blizzard went down. Blizzard crowd surfed, I think, at that event. I remember my friend Ryan saying he saw Blizzard sitting down in a corner going over his bars manically, because this was a kind of last minute, offering to the fans. And yeah, O'Shea versus Blizzard went down. Again, don't really recall too much of this battle, but yeah, that was the second event that I went to. That was Don't Flop Liverpool. So yeah, the third event that I went to, which would have been in August 2013, was my debut battle. You may be aware, back when I was going by the moniker of Clandestine, when I battled Nader at Spit Roast Battles in Birmingham. This was in Digbirth. This was in a real, arse end of some warehouse nowhere. Took 10 minutes to get there from when you were lost. I didn't know where the hell in this labyrinth there. Eventually got there, battled Nader. Anyone that's familiar with my past knows that I thought it was probably my best performance. Didn't choke, got my bars out. My bars were completely when you start writing bars, you've got to get all your rude, sexual, mom joke, fuck your whatever bars out. It's not me at all. I don't really know what the hell I was doing, who I was there. But the battle was okay, and the event was decent. There were no names on it that anyone would recognise. I remember there was a few bits of talent here and there. There was one kid that reminded me a bit like a Plucky Blizzard or something. I can't remember his name though. So yeah, that was the event I went to. Go back to the Soliloquy episode where we sort of talk about the Nader battle in full. Can't really recall too much of that. I remember afterwards, actually, the barman giving me loads of tips, actually. I think he quite liked my writing and he could see a bit of potential in it, even though I don't know what he was seeing there. It was fucking awful. But yeah, he was very kind and, got the win. And then the Nader battle took so long to come out. And Nader was a fucking weirdo as well. He was completely trashed. He didn't think that I was going to turn up to the battle, even though I'd confirmed it to him several times, and he thought I was late to the battle, even though I was there before the first battle even kicked off, and, yeah, it was this very lame encounter, but still a funny sort of footnote in my own personal history with this weird thing that is battle rap. So, next big event for me was 5th birthday. 5th birthday was the thing that actually got me onto Instagram. I don't know if people recall, but at the time, I think Don't Flop had just started up their Instagram, maybe prior, but they were really using it as the only place to learn about matchups. Every day at 5, 6 p.m. they were announcing what was going to go down, and 5th birthday is an incredible card, and it is, for a lot of people, I know it means a lot, and it was a brilliant event. I really thought they kept their foot on the pedal. They went to a new city, they sold it the fuck out. Stylus was absolutely rocking that day. I went with Danny. This is when I was living in Manchester. Got the train down to Leeds. Again, it was swamped with people, which was so fucking cool to see. I sort of took it for granted at the time. This is just what I expected UKBR to be, but following this, it has dissipated inevitably. This is a really good card. I remember getting in amongst the crowd down beneath, and what was it that kicked us off? It was Bowski versus Mr. 13, which is a pretty fun battle. I had Mr. 13 on the show recently. We spoke about this battle. Shout out his mom, who has a picture of him from this battle, with the 1,000-strong crowd, his arms aloft on the hallway or something like that. Very cool. And what else went down there? Of course, we had Most Prob Rapunzel versus Enigma and Eek. And I remember when he sort of paused at the end of his third, and the guy next to me, and we sort of said it simultaneously, he's going to propose. Everyone knew, and there was a sense of expectation as he delivered his wonderful matrimonial verse there, and it was crazy. in that room when he applauded, and people were going mad. And it was just such a great thing to happen at the start of a huge weekend of battle rap. You know, it really set the tone. People were really, really elated for the guy, and the event was cool as well. You know, the sound was great. There were tons of people on stage, and there were tons of people all around, and bars got huge reactions. You know, it really was a massive coliseum. You know, what a great place. I know behind the scenes, as always, Don't Flop was quite fractured at this moment. But at that time, you know, very, very exciting. So, Calcium Kid versus Daylight. I'm just looking at the flyer now. That didn't go down. Obviously, there was some sort of thing with Daylight's ballets. And Kruger versus Lopesh and Bender. Yeah, that was a really cool battle. I remember kind of King of the Dots sucked my dick. Like, again, don't really know. I think there was some King Fly had accused someone of buying views or something like that. Again, I don't want to misquote, but yeah. Wiz and Sizz versus DNA and Cortez. I remember watching that kind of from slightly the back of the room. That was a really fucking fun battle. I think that's some of Wiz and Sizz's best stuff. And I just love the look on DNA and Cortez's bemused faces. Archaicsaurus as well. That didn't go down there. Neither did Yunnan Disaster. So essentially, this was announced early in the day that Diz was going to perform. So we did get... what did we get? We got Pedro and Philly Swain versus Diz and Osh. So we did get that battle, but there was something that like Diz wasn't in the right headspace for a one-on-one Yunnan clash or whatever. So that, which was supposed to be the penultimate battle before the Tony D and Lease title match, that was then moved to the second day. But I was fucking happy because we got Shufflo versus C and Cracker, which, you know, always speak on this show that this is, in my opinion, the best ever Shufflo performance. I think C and Cracker are outstanding in this battle as well. I think the cinematography on this battle, the sound, like I've watched this battle with multiple people that aren't into battle rap, and they are, you know, head over heels with Shufflo especially. I think they have really accessible material in this. They didn't get too battle rapperly, which isn't to say that they do, but, you know, I just think as a whole it was kind of very kind of mainstream in a lot of the angles, and it was quite obvious. And, you know, those sort of big targets that they're hitting, like the, you know, religion and how young you look and friendship and those sort of ideas that aren't really dealt with as delicately and with the panache that Shufflo did there. So, and then we got Tony D versus Chris Lease, which capped off the day. I didn't go to day 2 of 5th birthday, but if I recall correctly, I remember Lease like kind of leaving the room immediately after the result, and, you know, why not? Again, we'll have to sort of go back. I think I still do have Lease maybe winning this as well. It's a close match. Check out the History of the Don't Flop title episode that I did with Tom. That was a really fun episode. But yeah, that was 5th birthday. Anyone listening to the stream, I'll shout out Mad Dog TV. What's good, man? Yeah, it's been a long time, bro. Check out Mad Dog's channel, of course. Oh, Ryan Morgan Media as well in the chat, or at least he was. Blue Effigy giving me some bullshit as well. No problem, man. So let me know in the comments if you went to any of the events that I've spoken of, any of your memories from those events, and we'll get to them at the end of the episode. So let's see, what was the next event that I went to? So, yeah, so at this period in my life, I was living in Manchester. I lived there for a year, and obviously wanted to experience as much battle rap as possible. There was one Don't Flop Manchester event when I was there at Odd Bar in the Northern Court, which I didn't attend for whatever reason. I think I was away. And that was where Youth Oracle battled Elro, where Raptor tried out against Young Guns Fusion, or tried out for Don't Flop, I should say. And what else went down there? Sean O'Mac versus Bizzo, I think, went down there as well, and maybe some other battles. I think it was quite a small card. But yeah, speaking of Raptor, so at this point, you know, Words of Weapons were on the come up. I had been speaking to Chronicle, I think. He was trying to get me a battle. I think I'd reached out to him on Facebook or something, and we'd spoken a little bit about him being a spoken word artist or something like that. I mentioned this on Ruin Your Day as well. Definitely check out the Tony D versus Adam the Rapper episode I did with Prob, Avo, and Canel. That was a really, really fun chat. And, you know, Raptor was the hottest fucking thing in battle rap at that time. You know, it was so exciting. Like, I think especially the Matter Clash and the Future Clash, you know, I personally was just, you know, gaga for this guy on beat. Like, you know, I thought he was a monster. So really did want to get down to a Words of Weapons event. And thankfully, I went to two Words of Weapons events, and you can see me in the backdrop looking very out of place in both of these. I don't really think they had names or anything like that, but I remember the first one that I went to, maybe it was like the summer or something like that, I can't really recall, but it was at Sound Control, and it was downstairs in kind of a studio booth, and it was busy in there, it was packed, and what was really cool was they'd sort of play the loud grime instrumentals in between the battles, and you would see like 3 or 4 ciphers kicking off at any one time. You know, people were energized, and there was such talent in the room. Saw some great battles. I mean, obviously, fuck Future, the fucking weirdo who battled FOS. You know, if anyone knows about the story of that guy, he's a complete reprobate. But yeah, saw that battle. What did I see? I saw Raptor versus Jackass. And Jackass is another beast. I love FOS as well that I mentioned. There's some other ones as well. I'm struggling to remember the guys' names. LJ, I think, was there as well. And there was a Royal Rumble, which was fucking great. Like, that's one of the best Royal Rumbles I've ever seen. Like, let me just get that up, actually, so I'll let you know exactly what it is. But yeah, so that went down there. And I remember the Royal Rumble as well. It just had like loads of them going at it, and Chronicle was there after each beat, sort of saying who was going to go and stuff like that. Yeah, here it is. I had Vigilant, Future, Crim, RP, J-Dot, Ease, and Whitby. Yeah, that was a really, really good. I mean, there was some good talent, really, really high talent pool in Words of Weapons, and apparently they're coming back. You know, apparently Chronicle's back online. I have asked him, I've bothered him many, many times for him to come on the show again. For him to come on the show and for us to go through all this sort of stuff, and obviously the bullshit we're gonna have to get into, and the quote unquote beef that's gone down, and the threats and stuff like that. But just what he's contributed as a battler. So yeah, went to that event. That was a really cool event. Sound quality as well was awesome. The vibe was awesome. I remember it was over quite quickly as well. I think it was like 3 hours, 4 hours or something like that. It really wasn't outstaying the time, could do other things. And then it was in Manchester as well. Jacob and Molly, who are 2 of my really good friends in Manchester that I hung out with a lot of my time there, I brought them to another Words of Weapons event, which took place kind of on the outskirts of Manchester. What battle? This was an okay event. There were some okay battles that went down there. Butcher Man, I think that was his debut against IQ. And me and Jacob still laugh about Butcher Man. He was fucking on one in that clash. And there were a few others. I think there was like Zen battled Chronicle on like freestyle, but I don't think that was ever filmed or released, or that was more badly attended. Like, it seemed like certain people hadn't turned up for whatever reason. So I think we saw like 2 or 3 battles or something like that. Like, it was a bit of a shambles. Like, and it was a shame because I'd raved about the first one that I went to so much to Jacob and Molly, and then when I brought them to the event, I think they enjoyed themselves definitely, but it wasn't the best example of this thing. They knew that I love battle rap, and I sort of slowly got Jacob into battle rap and showed him this thing, and whenever I got a second chance I was putting it on the TV. So, but still, they had a good time. So that was the second Words of Weapons event that I went to. The next event that I went to, again, the dates of these are kind of going to be sort of out of order, but the next event that I went to was 6th birthday. Again, 6th birthday is one of the sort of forgotten birthdays. Really, they essentially just tried to replicate 5th birthday, same venue, same sort of style of the title matches mixed in with the big internationals. It is always the want of the birthday events. And if you recall, there was quite a few cancellations for 6th birthday. So just looking at the card now, who didn't we have turn up? We didn't have Bonnie turn up, who was going to battle Enigma. We didn't have Young Ill, who was going to battle Shotty. Tony D and Yunnan didn't go down as well. That was pushed till later. Tony D and Yunnan didn't go down. That was pushed till a little later. So, I remember at the time, or Don't Flop had said that if you've bought a ticket, you can have a free +1 to kind of make up for it. And so I think they were struggling maybe to sell tickets over audience numbers or whatever, which shows you how volatile the fucking battle rap market is just a year later after a hugely successful 5th birthday. And I think altogether they had a pretty good year following that as well. So yeah, 6th birthday was announced, and the main reason that we went, myself and Danny, is because Chilla was battling. Chilla was battling C Major. This was Chilla's debut. I was the biggest Chilla stan in the world. Like, at a time, I thought Chilla Jones was the greatest battler ever. Like, Chilla Jones just really appealed to that sort of writerly instinct in the fan of me. So, I'm thinking about going back to, like, Cash Eating, even before that, when he battled, like, Gatman and stuff like that, and he just had some crazy battles. And then when he came onto the URL after Cash Eating, he battled, like, M. City, and when he battled B Magic, and of course the JC battle. And I think at this point, we'd had, like, his King of the Dart excursion, so we'd had his Daylight Clash, which again, Chilla for me now, I'm just not quite as big as a fan. As I've said before, I think you can sort of see the strings a bit more. Maybe if I go back, I'll see the strings then. It was very, very scheme. But that's the shit I loved when I was getting into Battle Rap. And me and Danny had said to ourselves, like, if Chilla ever fucking comes to the UK, we have to go wherever it is. So Chilla was announced versus C Major, and, we were fucking there. So took Jacob with us, which was very cool. I think he, enjoyed the day a lot. Saw a lot of good battles. Again, it was quite startling how few people there were in comparison to Fifth Birthday. But still, the quality showed out. We saw some really fun battles. Osh versus Harry Baker was great. Dots versus DNA, where DNA just skewered Dots. And it's a shame because Dots is a massive talent. But whenever Dots has gone up against a real big boy, like DNA or Sharon or Big Cannon, he just sort of came across a bit salty and, I don't know, not that good. Quill versus Purpose, I saw that. I don't remember it. Ogmios versus Nils, again, was a bit kind of... I enjoyed it. Like, it was great to see Og for the first time live. But I think a lot of people have admitted, I think Neil said that on the show as well, that this battle didn't necessarily live up to the high expectations it had set for the years. Gemini versus Big T. I'm pretty much at the front of this battle. This is when I really got into Gemini hard. Like, obviously, I'd enjoyed him before, seeing the Frankie battle and stuff like that. And this was such a fucking... Like, the foresight of Don't Flop to give Gem Big T. They knew how talented this guy is and was. And the Raptor Clash as well had happened prior to this. And the Tally one? Yeah, the Tally one would have went down as well. That was a great battle. That was a crazy battle to see. We also had Soul versus Yunnan. So Soul had sort of stepped in last minute, I think, for Yunnan. Is that a 2-round battle? I think it is. Again, I haven't seen that for a little while, but that's a really fucking good battle. Soul is... I like Soul's mode in that as well. He's kind of like Whisper Soul. Like, he's very gently spoken in that battle. He doesn't kind of have that visceral attack that he would embody in, like, the Raptor Clash and stuff like that. But yeah, he is a master in that battle. I love his material, the Return of the King stuff, and just his kind of way of attacking Tommy rather than Yunnan. C versus Chilla went down. I remember me and Danny being slightly disappointed by that battle. Obviously, we were so hyped to see Chilla, and he schemed and he did his thing, and C spits in a literal sense in that battle. The amount of saliva that guy produces is quite incredible. Obviously, always shout out to 10,000 Hours as well. Always going to get a little plug in for that incredible record by C. Good battle. Not a great battle. I think that battle closed the day, and then we head back, and, again, this is way before Battle Rap Resume. This is way before I even had the idea to do a podcast or anything like this. Just massive fans. And it was cool, again, to incidentally see everyone. And Sixth Birthday has some good clashes, for sure. And then the next event that I went to... God, when was this? This would have been in 2015. Yeah, because Sixth Birthday was the end of 2014. So I wanted to battle again, basically. As I mentioned before, Chronicle had been trying to set me up a battle when I was in Manchester. I had the Nader footage, which I thought was okay for a tryout. Again, I'm not trying to say in any way that I was anyway decent as a battler. But, at the time, I thought it was okay. Crowd reacts to the material as dated as it is. And I wanted to battle more, and... it had been sort of back and forth with Chronicle. He'd initially tried to set me up with Dean, as he was called at the time, before he was called LS Dean. I mean, shout out to LS Dean, by the way, who is the champ of the Academy. Fucking crazy. Like, the amount of progression that guy has done, even from Mr. Quinney at Next in Line 2, which never got released. Mr. Quinney from the entry a Don't Flop inbox, which is a hallowed place that I want to visit one day. But, yeah, so I was supposed to battle Dean. And then I was supposed to battle this guy called Tupac, I think. And, this is going to be on Words of Weapons a cappella. And I wasn't a rapper or, my kind of basis was in spoken word. Like, I'd done a lot of sort of spoken word gigs and headlined a few events and stuff like that, But I was kind of coming from that world, I think that Tupac versus Dean did happen, actually, on Words of Weapons a cappella. And I remember it being a bit crap, not the fault of the MCs or anything. It just wasn't the right environment for it. So anyway, I won another battle. Kron had set me up with this guy called Murta. Shout out to Murta, still awesome dude. I know that he listens to the show occasionally, and he's just a really, really nice guy, and I had a really good time actually afterwards hanging out with him and his girlfriend Isabel, yeah. So we were supposed to battle. Kron had sort of set this up, and then Kron sort of went dark or whatever, or the event didn't go down. So Murta messaged me directly, and he was like, why don't we just do this for King of the Ronalds? Why don't we just ask them for their next event to put this battle together? We're both ready. We've both got our rounds ready. And I was like, yeah, of course. So eventually this got put together. I think it was through Hulk, through a group chat. This was the Rise of the Foot Soldier. This is in Acton. It's funny because the battle that the video that I mentioned prior, the top 10 most disliked King of the Ronalds battles, one of the battles from this event we cover, which is titled Mickey Worthless versus a rap battle. Well, obviously it's actually Mac Sherry and Bombshell with Mickey interrupting. So that went down there. I think that closed the event actually in ignominy. But yeah, we went over there. Went to Acton, first time in Acton. There's a big park just outside the bar itself. I remember getting there ridiculously early, as I always do. I remember at the time I was reading to Mick Jenkins, and I was listening to The Waters constantly. And when I was in there, Hulk played a song from that very mixtape, and I sort of said to him, like, oh, I love that, weird things you remember, right? So I was there, doing all my material, feeling fairly confident in my material. When I look back on my material, I scheme so long. I do the chiller influence is there. I do like an Egyptian scheme. I do like a scheme about swords and like knives and it's like wordplay, swordplay, add an S, that sort of bullshit crap. So anyway, we were the first battle, and Mickey didn't turn up. Mickey was late, and I kind of wanted Mickey to be there for the battle or something like that. And I think there was meant to be a battle before us, but they didn't turn up. I mean, go back and watch the battle, listen to the soliloquy episode. We go into the battle. It wasn't that good, really. Murta won. I was way more direct, and I didn't choke, and I think I had some decent, quality material in terms of just what it was. But, maybe my projection is off. Maybe the fact that I didn't bring anyone with me and he had 5 people with him and KOTR rules apply is the reason that he won. I don't really care, to be honest. It was a good day. I met a few people for the first time. Obviously, Hulk, I mentioned. I think I bumped into Josh Owen there. I spoke to Mac briefly. Spoke to Bard as well. Chatted to Bard in the toilet. That was pretty cool to see Bard, because obviously he'd been on a lot of things before. I was a big fan of his Sleepy battle, especially, and his Agent battle. So, it was cool. In terms of the battles, what else went down? Oh, man, I'm really struggling to remember other battles that happened outside of me versus Murta and Bombshell versus Mac Sherry. I mean, Bombshell versus Mac Sherry is sight to behold. Mac already had the choking reputation prior to this, and Mickey just goads him endlessly. And, that was Rise of the Foot Soldier. That's most I can remember. I mean, the bar in Acton as well kind of suffered from the Renshaw Street Dome in Liverpool. It was just way too big, and it's a King of the Ronalds event, so there's no one, there's no sort of fans there. It's all just kind of mates and stuff, and people are grouped together and awkward conglomerations, and yeah, weird event. Definitely a weird event. Oh, yo, Dean in the chat. Okay, Dean saying, come in the chat, instantly got shouted out, life is good. That's a weird bit of synchronicity, yeah. Dean saying, battling Tupac a cappella on Words of Weapons was one of the most awkward moments of my life, and I'm an awkward motherfucker. Okay, shout out that battle, yeah. I'm glad that battle did happen. I thought that happened. So, yeah, moving forward, I mean, I had 2 battles under my belt. I was called Clandestine because I'm a fucking idiot, so I knew I needed to change my name. I became Soliloquy. And I remember distinctly actually leaving work, and I'd sent Bam maybe 1 or 2 Facebook messages, because I knew that training days was sort of his thing. He was sort of the tryout guy, whatever. So I remember leaving work. I remember actually being on the train platform and the light fucking filtering in and shit like that. It's, again, weird how you remember these momentous or not moments for you. So I remember this going down. And I remember, when someone accepts you as a friend and whatever, and you get it through your messages. And I messaged, and he sort of said, oh, we're organising this card. Do you want to get on this card? I think I'd sent him the... Actually, no, the Murta footage didn't come out. So that was one of the things actually happened with this Murta battle. So after the event, as if to compound the terribleness, they'd said on the KOTR forum or something that all the footage had been lost from that event. So I, half of my stuff for Turner, which is the next battle we're going to get into when I went to Rapping It Park on Don't Flop, half of my stuff for Turner was murder bars, the sort of the best stuff, and I think I had my swordplay scheme in there as well. Maybe the best thing that I took that out. So that's the sort of stuff that I had. So then I learned, I think the murder battle came out like a week before this was supposed to go down, so I had to sort of rewrite my rounds and blah 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 and whatever. I mean, it was fine. So yeah, I remember Bam accepting me, Bam messaged me like, where are you based? I was like, oh, I'm in Birmingham. He was like, oh, we got a Manchester card coming up. Like, do you want to get involved? But I knew that was far in the offing. I knew they had this London card ready. I was like, no, like I can get to London easily. And then he accepted me on the card, and then my fucking name was on a fucking Don't Flop card. Like, and I've got it in front of me now, Rapid at Park 2015, with the forest, bucolic backdrop there. This went down Saturday, the 11th of July, 2015, and I want to shout out Rapid Park for a number of reasons. It was a great event, really, really fun event. Tons of interesting battles went down there, and also BRR in the park that we would do essentially 3 years and a bit later. I just stole their idea because I love the Albert Memorial backdrop, Kensington Gardens. And I want to give another shout out to Mad Dog TV that I mentioned before. I mean, we did a Battle Rap Resume episode, so definitely go back and listen to that. But Mad Dog, would get loads of interviews at events, kind of inspired me to do my own thing in the future. And I think he's got like an hour-long Rapping It Park video where he interviews the majority of the battlers that were there. I think Tony D's on the thumbnail. So that's a really cool piece of UKBR history to check out. So yeah, Rapping It Park. This is it. This is what I've been fucking fighting for. The Don't Flop tryout. Like, in my head, I was going to be the greatest battler ever and blah, blah, blah. And, I really thought I was going to be something special. Obviously, I wasn't. Things go in different directions. But it was really exciting. I remember getting there. I remember it was a really sunny day, really nice day. Not knowing London that well. Just knowing it was kind of off Hyde Park, getting into Hyde Park, walking a long way. It was 2 rounds as well, having all my rounds written, getting there really fucking early, not knowing anyone. There were loads of people kind of round and about Kensington Gardens, the Albert Memorial. 142 was there, who I'd seen prior at the Rise of the Foot Soldier event. Maybe he battled there, I don't know. But I remember us sort of, having a little chat and whatever. But yeah, I remember sitting on my own, reading Alice Munro, who's my favourite author, reading, I think it was Too Much Happiness. I was reading one of her later collections, just sitting there. I was a right loser reading my Canadian literature. And seeing Turner as well. I'm sure a few people have seen the Turner battle. Well, actually, it was excised, wasn't it? Because Don't Flop Extra went under. But a fan, Joker, a very good friend of mine, had a copy of the battle, and he's re-uploaded it on YouTube, so it is still available for everyone to see. And I remember speaking to him before, and he was kind of eyeing me, and I was kind of pretty, nonchalant about it, and he sort of came up to me, and his friends were there, and, he was young, so I guess, what was this, 20, so I was 23 at the time, and he would have been, like, 16, 17, like I think he would just finished his GCSEs or something like that. Like, he was, he looked quite young and scrawny as well. I mean, shout out to Turner. I think he's going to Cambridge Uni at the moment, so very impressed with that guy. So yeah, we had a little chat and whatever. I think he was trying to zone me out. I was like, oh, hey, how many nights ago? And he's like, not much, just won a spoken word competition in Kent. And I was like, oh, cool, dude, whatever. And, we had this sort of bartering back and forth, whatever. So, yeah, the tryout battles went down, and there was a lot of people there, and it fucking freaked me out that was here, and Kruger was here, and Tony D, and Shuffle, and, like, it really, yeah, it was a bit of a mindfuck, really, because I hadn't really done this well to this point at all. I didn't really do it well today, so loads of the tryouts went down. I've got the card in front of me now. Yorks versus Immoral went down. I do remember seeing that one. 142 battle Karma as well. And he had all this line like, Karma's a bitch or something like that, which is quite nice. Deafening was decent against Maester. Oh, was that the same Maester that battled Wisdom, which is the most disliked King of the Realms battle? It probably is. Again, top 10 most disliked King of the Realms battles. Go check that out. Lex debuted there. A debuted. I remember watching A was the battle after mine. It's one I kind of relaxed. I remember really enjoying that. Jace battled Distract, another fun battle. Distract had that like shoot like drive-bys out the window of opportunity or something like that. I mean, Distract had technique. He kind of died for a while, didn't he? There was like this horrible mystery about him. But yeah, Distract was decent until Rawls sort of bodied him there. And again, Rawls is such a talent, But yeah, so I battled Turner. It was okay. I got the stuff out. I got the win. I think he didn't necessarily come as battle rappy as I did. I kind of punched a bit harder. I remember I had a bar about expressionist art, and I was older than him. You should call me Mr. Turner, which is obviously the Mike Leigh film about Joseph Mallard, William Turner. I remember Shuffle, I should say, the one in Unison. Shuffle was just there, nodding. He appreciates a good art bar like the next man. And it was a fun day throughout, you know. I spoke to Hyphen, actually, who has gone on to be, you know, fairly big rapper in the London scene in terms of his circle. Always putting stuff out there. Shout out Ardash. And we had a good chat as well. And I'd seen quite a few about, at the time I was watching, this was when Training Day is like a massive thing and they're doing all these events in Fiddlers, and I watched like his tryout, and that was at the same event where Crafty had debuted versus Ambi. And I remember, actually, I've said this to Craft before, and I think I said this on the show as well. I remember seeing Craft versus Press One, and I knew that I couldn't be a battle rapper, like seeing that. I loved Crafty. I still love Crafty's material in that battle. I'm a big Crafty fan. And he was so good. And I just knew then that I would never reach that level. And I know that it's a different type. Like Craft is coming with that sort of, you know, more kind of rhythmic patterning and more that kind of rapper aesthetic. But something just clicked in me. I was like, you know, maybe BRR, the seeds were sown there, and I sort of thought I need to do something else. Like, I love battle rap and I want to be involved, but I don't think I can be a fucking battler. Like, I don't think that's my course. That was a great battle. J Red versus Ren DMC was really funny. Dandy Jack versus Jay Dillon topped it off. I always speak to Danny about his Rugrats gun bars. Jay Dillon had the George Foreman and stuff like that. Ambi versus JB went down there. Dean was there as well. Dean versus Amity. What did Dean have that line? Like, you look like a member of Odd Future that just doesn't do anything or something like that. And yeah, all in all, it was a really sort of good set of battles. Absolutely. So yeah, Rapping It Park, really, really good event. You know, really kind of cool to be part of as well. And because I won that clash, I got through into the next training days. Like, pretty much everyone from those tryouts that had won moved forward. So, who else at the next training day? It was like Yorks versus Lex went down there, or maybe another event. But essentially, I battled 142 at the next training days, which again was an okay battle from me. Again, it was quite stressful to be in fucking Fiddlers with everyone watching and, like, you know, people laughing at your bars to a certain extent. Again, I got a bit too niche, a bit too obscure. I referenced Dan Carlin, who is one of my favourite historical podcasts. I'm sure everyone knows about Common Sense and Hardcore History, which is, you know, unbelievable. But yeah, it wasn't judged. You know, 142 didn't really come with anything against me. I think I went at him a bit more. I had this weird angle about him being involved with the King of the Ronalds, and Ronalds making him look a joke like Morgan Spurlock, or, you know, some sort of thing like that. But it was a cool event. It was a really fucking cool event. This was where Quack versus Rivers happened, which is definitely one of Rivers' best ever performances. He was so good in that battle. The Tom out front, like Scientology and stuff like that. Oh, that's where Callum from the Forum battled as well. Callum from the Forum battled Jay Cruz there and did pretty decently. Again, another battle lost to the kind of the genocide of fucking Don't Flop Extra. What a mistake. I still don't really understand that. Deleted an email to save money. Like, I understand that you delete an email and it deletes the account, but, like, do emails cost money? I don't think so. But I don't want to think that he did it out of spite, because that would be cutting off your nose, you know, to spite your own Don't Flop Extra channel. But yeah, whatever. So that went down, and then I think the event ran late. So we all had to scurry across to some nearby park. I mean, normally at Fiddlers, when that sort of stuff happens, we just go to that alleyway behind where, you know, Pedro versus Colton went down, and JB versus Jay Short and stuff like that. But yeah, so Battle 142, you know, was feeling okay about it. I remember my friend Andy, actually, and he brought a mate with him as well, was there supporting, so that was great to see. But yeah, we all went off and went to the park, and there were two more battles, and in these battles you can see me sort of forefront at the back. And what went down, the first battle that went down was Jay Short versus Yunnan, which I think Jay Short had to get off to get a coach after this battle. Fun battle. I remember Yunnan doing a lot of, like, you know, obviously I don't really have a gun or a sword, but neither do you, and it's just fun to say and stuff like that, which is an angle I've not really seen before. Like, I appreciate the meta-ness of it. And then Yunnan choked pretty badly, I think in both rounds. Was it a 2-round, 3-round or something like that? Jay was on fire. Jay was really, really fucking good. And they did cut quite a bit of Yunnan's chokes out of that battle as well. But you can still obviously tell that he forgot a lot of his shit. And then we had Soweto Kinch versus Zen, which again, to see Soweto live was a treat. Giant fan of this dude. Definitely check out his recent jazz documentary on BBC Four. Hopefully it's still on iPlayer, but that was a brilliant watch. And I think they mentioned Yunnan choking. I remember Yunnan behind me, like laughing, like, you know, obnoxiously, like ha ha ha, in that way. And you can just about hear it on cam, but it was very loud in that circle. You know, lots of people there as well. It was a good vibe. So that went down. If I recall, again, I haven't seen that battle since, but I remember there was a lot of sort of raping children was brought up a lot, and they both sort of acknowledged it was weird they were going in that direction. But often when you're having that 4-bar freestyle, you have to play off the targets that they're aiming for. And then after that, that was a time when Don't Flop trying to do the cypher thing that they were doing at some events and stuff like that. And I remember they set up a mic and had a few people go. And I remember seeing Soljitsu fucking kill it. He was incredible. I think Rawls was there. Tony was there. There's a few other people. I mean, this is before I really knew anyone, you know. This is before the channel. I was just some fucking no-name tryout. I mean, I still am, you know. I'm not trying to say like I'm a big cheese or anything like that. But like, I wasn't familiar, you know, with these guys. I really was someone in the backdrop watching this sort of stuff. So, yeah, that's about... I'm trying to think where we are now. So we're in about 2015, that sort of era. So yeah, around this time, I had moved to Oxford and, you know, still majorly, massively into battle. Oh, that reminds me, actually, there was another battle that I've got to get to that I'll just note down in the new year that I went to in Oxford that was fucking shit. So, so the next event that I went to was 7th birthday. This is the first day of 7th birthday. I took Ryan there, my good friend, and, you know, this is not an event to take a fucking friend to, because anyone that's been there, you know, obviously the common thing with Ministry is the prices, which are ridiculous. Like, it was cool to go to Ministry, you know, I've never been since. It was nice to kind of, you know, enter that round, to see it. You know, obviously I've seen it from, like, you know, C and Seoul and stuff like that, and you know, Lunacy and Checkpoint 2 had already gone down. Just prior to this, I think this is the Ministry event they did prior. What was that, like July, something like that? I don't know, something around that time. So yeah, we go there, and there was so much fucking waiting around. Like, I think was like 3 hours late or something like that. We got Crafty versus Heretic, which is one of the most debated battles in the history of Battle Rap Resume. I remember tweeting at the time, just saw Crafty, you know, win clearly but get a 4-1 decision against him or something like that. And I remember I think Crafty retweeted it, and like Heretic retweeted it and said like justice for Crafty or something like that. But yeah, fun battle. That battle went down. Saw some good battles here, you know. Saw Soul versus Caustic, not the greatest battle, but saw Gem versus Dialect, Juan versus Sharon, Shotty versus Clips. Obviously, I mean, this is a fucking stacked card, really stacked card, but kind of goes to show that a lot of things on paper don't necessarily work out. Like Pedro versus Uno was a bit of a cringe fest. Raptor versus Pass isn't very memorable. Everyone thinks the 1-2-1-2 like a mic check, but I just think Pass doesn't really punch that hard, and Raptor wasn't in that mode per se. Like, he was still, you know, the guy, absolutely. I guess this would have been after Sunburn 2. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was after Sunburn 2. So, you know, Raptors rounds against Tony are some of the best Don't Flop rounds ever. Shotty versus Clips went down there. I remember just everyone was exhausted. Like, everyone was just sort of sitting around, sitting on the floor. There was no energy in the room. And the fact that Shotty Clips as well was just a really odd battle. Everyone getting on stage. And, you know, I haven't really watched it since. And then we had Shufflo versus K-Shon and DNA was supposed to go down at this time. Obviously didn't go down at this time. Kind of has to go down then. Like, even if it's going to happen in the future, which again I'm welcoming to, it's kind of perfect then. I think they were both kind of, you know, really at their peak. I think DNA and K-Shon especially, you know, obviously Shufflo was sort of established in this mode. O'Shea versus Kid Twist. O'Shea versus Kid Twist. That's a good card. It is a good card. A lot of cool internationals came over for this one. But yeah, Shuffle faced off against Fake K-Shine. Do you remember this battle? So they plucked someone from the crowd, and Shuffle was basically demonstrating like the Shuffle Tea company and that sort of idea he was going for, and how he can just write a verse about someone in the spur of the moment and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, wasn't there for day 2, but day 1, it was good, but it was certainly probably the weakest birthday I'd been to personally, in spite of this. And, Gemini, again, though, showed out. I think Gemini was probably the best performance of the day. I remember everyone was just really, really into what he was doing, and he was absolutely fantastic. The command, the control, he was familiar with the parameters of this ministry stage. So, that was 7th birthday, and that was the last event I attended in 2015. I didn't go to Checkpoint 3. Didn't see Soul versus Raptor. Didn't see Shocks versus Coma and Dialect versus Bilzar and all that sort of stuff. Tony versus Troy Brown, and didn't get a chance to see any of that. But Don't Flop realised that, and they wanted to bring the show to the people. So Copyright, who was battling Tenshu, which completely forgettable battle. Tenshu was decent, but yeah, just what was that battle? I don't know what that battle was. They got Copyright on the road. The idea was that they go to like 10 cities or something like that. I can't really remember. And myself and my friend Zach went down. He was somewhat into battle rap, but mainly just through osmosis of me going on about it all the fucking time. This went down in the Cellar in Oxford. Anyone familiar with Oxford? This venue actually recently just got saved. It was about to be closed. Classic venue where, the likes of Radiohead and Air and Ride and all these classic Oxford bands have played. It's a sick venue that I've been to many times. Really, really cool. Definitely, if ever battle rap comes back to Oxford, I think the Cellar's the best place for it. Kind of low ceilinged, high energy sort of environment. So yeah, this event went down, and it wasn't really an event officially. It was just kind of a, Copy's going to be there and do some songs. And Og was there, and he did some songs as well. He did this song called Koto Dharma. I don't think it was off Last Picnic, but it was in that sort of vein. Juan was there with his mate, and they did some songs about being on the Oxford City map or something like that. I can't really remember, but that was kind of cool. Again, I think I would have started the show by now. Yeah, so Battle Rap Resume would have been around. I don't know if I'd spoken to one yet. This would have been kind of like 3 or 4 months into the show's run. So, yeah, a bit of a washout, really. I remember getting there and just sort of hanging around with Zach and overhearing saying that, like, I've done enough events to know that on a Wednesday in Oxford, there's only going to be fucking 10, 15 people there. And there really weren't that many people there. Philly and Dots were there as well. And Dots was doing some really cool stuff, freestyling off clothing, etc. in the crowd, and that was impressive. And as a showcase of just the talent available in Don't Flop, it was fun. I don't think Copy even arrived, or maybe we left before he arrived, but yeah, that was the Oxford event. Time went forward. We then got to Rapping It Jack. So this was basically where training days became a thing of itself. Like, do you remember when Bobby Rex and Heretic were involved with training days as well? Which, obviously blossomed into Code Red after that. So, yeah, this is when Danny took the reins of training days with Ryan Morgan and Krishna and all that sort of stuff. And they organised Rapping It Jack, which was Danny Jack's 24th birthday. Was this like July or something like that? June, July? This is a really cool fucking event for a lot of reasons. I mean, first of all, JB versus Dank Schrader went down at this event, and thankfully that's been re-uploaded. It was lost, the purge, the snapping of Don't Flop Extra. So that was an amazing battle. A versus Evil went down there as well. That was an okay battle, and it was just like, again, it was great weather. Loads of people there, great to hang out. Personally, in terms of the show as well, the show had been around a little while, and this was the first time that people had like recognised my voice and stuff like that, and that was great to chop it up. There was a barbecue there that I didn't really take anything from, but that was there. There was some J. Cruz battled Bear Solutions. That was Bear Solutions' kind of debut on the Don't Flop platform. Tony D battled Innuendo. There was this cool thing as well that I mentioned on the show prior where we were all watching the battles and stuff, and it was just kind of, I think it was like Highfields Park or something like that. I don't really know London at all, but there were loads of crowd. There was loads of people around watching the battles and elsewhere. And this woman came up to me watching some battle, and she was like, "Oh, what's this then?" I was like, "Oh, it's battle rap, blah blah." And I think she thought it was like a new thing that had just happened, like this new Youthquake or something like that. And essentially, she gave me her card. She worked for This Morning as some sort of talent scout or production advisor or something like that. I remember giving the card to her. This is before I really knew her, and sort of saying, "Oh, this has gone down, blah blah blah. Maybe you should contact her," because I thought I don't really have anything to say to her about this. And I remember John Whitmore, Sherpa, posting on the UKBR group a few days later that it had been covered on This Morning, or it had been covered quickly. They'd have like, oh, there's this thing happening, blah, 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 you know, sort of like a top 10 interests of the week or something like that. So, yeah, that was weird that she happened to be there, and I happened to sort of facilitate that to some extent. Also, enticingly for me, I love battles that go down but never get released for whatever reason. So we had a Raw's on-beat mirror match. Great idea. Where it was him rapping into an iPad. That never got released. And we also had the roast of Danny Jack. And that never got released. So that basically devolved into... We needed a structure with that. We needed to go around in a circle. I say we, I wasn't involved, but, you know, certain battlers, I think Innuendo was there, Tony D was there. It was like, okay, each battler has a bar. Go. But so many people got involved. There was a really pissed guy who just kept interrupting constantly. Some guy kept throwing a ball at Danny Jack's head as well. And it's a shame, because as an artifact, I want to fucking see that again. You know, I really, really do. And hopefully it's out there on Ryan Morgan's hard drive or something like that. But yeah, as an event, as a soiree, it was great to fucking chill and see people. And my friend Anthony as well, I brought him to the event right at the end as well. But he was a bit confused because I think the only thing he saw was the roast of Danny Jack, which was a fucking omni-shambles. So yeah, that was Rapping It Jack. Now it becomes a bit more of a blur for me in terms of times. I went to the Rise of the Future Pagans event, which is a King of the Ronalds event, which was kind of like their sort of training days event outside. I did a recap of this actually on the channel really early on. In fact, I think the first ever thing that I did on the show that wasn't a straight Battle Rap Resume episode was a preview and then recap of Rapping It Jack with Ryan Morgan. So that was really cool, and that obviously made me realise that, okay, event previews and recaps, stuff like that, they're really fun to do. So yeah, I went to this Future Pagans event. Who battled? Oh man, I'm trying to think who fucking battled. I remember there was like 8 battles in the card, but like 2 went down or something like that. Like there was really few battles. Colton battled Lil Maisie. I remember that. That's about it. That's about the extent that I remember of that. There was then a revival card that I went to. This would have been at the end of 2016. That was the revival that was really hyped because it had some cool matchups. It had like Soul versus Double L, which eventually became Soul versus Koj, which eventually didn't happen. And then Soul uploaded his rounds, which are on the Battle Resume channel, which are fucking astonishing. And then, what else was supposed to go down there? Like, wasn't Tox supposed to battle E. Farrell? Or something like that? One of those is supposed to go down. And we had like Matter versus Press One, and Osh versus Bobby, Spit Semis versus Peace Soldier, Loose Cypher versus Dialect. So I mean, there were some cool matchups there, but it was a complete washout of an event. I'm not sure why. The energy wasn't there, the quality wasn't there, the crowd was there, but yeah, I didn't really enjoy that event too much, to be honest with you, and I think most people are saying the same thing. So, yeah, Nil happened. Of course, I went to all 3 of the Nils as well. Nil 1 was great for a multitude of fucking reasons. Tox Gem was crazy. Scoop Wilsey. Lazy versus A was a terrific battle. Tony versus Shocks. Shout out J-Ferg versus Catnip, purely because J-Ferg's rocking the Battle Rap Resume T in that battle. And next to like 2 and 3, I guess just grouped them together as well. They were both really cool events, especially because 2 and 3, we did loads of interviews. Next to like 2, we did like fucking 25 interviews, so we did a ridiculous amount of interviews with Nathan. So yeah, go check those out as well. Those are really cool battles. I'm going to just sort of go through them now in sort of whatever order they were. UKBL Bloodline. So UKBL had its From the Ashes event towards the end of 2016, I want to say, back when Cracker was involved along with Koj, and they were sort of pioneering this point system, this league table. And I think on a preview that I did, I said this is going to be one of the most exciting fucking things in Battle Rap. This is going to shake up the game. Obviously didn't do anything. UKBL did 2 events, because I think they had to cancel a 3rd event, or maybe it was a 2nd event that had Shocks versus Yunnan and a few other people on that. But UKBL Bloodline. So went to Manchester. went all the way to Manchester and Oxford, which, I just came back from fucking the Premier Battles All-Star Games. A long trip. I don't know why I went all the way out there for fucking UKBL, but I did. It was very cool. Got to see some people that listen to the show. Joker, especially, great to spend some time with that guy. Who's been on the show many times. The battles were interesting. Again, I got a few interviews from this event. So definitely go on the channel and check those out. Herb D battled Conman Curve. Herb D had a great first, choked his second. Herb D had an aggression that was quite unique. I think he could have gone a bit further. D-Mac bodied Woby Tide, which again, I don't think came out. I did live stream some footage on the Facebook page, which again, you could probably find a little bit of that. D-Mac, who, really enjoyed his stuff then, but he has gone strength to fucking strength. Bodied Hades next in line 3. I'm really excited to see what he does in the future. What else went down there? There's like a freestyle Evil battle, Sean O'Mac, O'Shea, and Bowski teamed up to battle Koj and Evil, maybe? Or something like that. I can't really recall. It's one of those lost events where none of the battles have been uploaded. I'm guessing they don't have the footage or they don't care or whatever, and UKBL is, it's a big undertaking to do your own league. And I know Koj appreciates that. So, but still, there's UK battles that have happened that people want. What do people want to see these battles? I don't fucking know, but they're out there anyway. So maybe we can get to them in some sort of way. North vs South 3. North vs South 3. Great to see them coming back to Birmingham. Hare and Hounds. I'm from Birmingham originally. I've been to many fucking gigs in that room. Saw the Aristocrats there about 2 years ago. Shout out Guthrie Govan. Absolute genius. Delight to see him there. Delight to see Shufflo there. Delight to see Shufflo versus P Soldier and Matter. Again, it's a really fun event. What other battles were there? Tox versus Scoop, Tongue Twister versus Jay Dillon, Ogmios versus Dialect. Lots and lots of good stuff. April Fools. April Fools was cool because I was on the flyer for the first time. It was like Tom from BRR is doing interviews and stuff like that. Cool to see Madness there. That was at Birthdays in Dalston. I don't think all of those battles have dropped, actually. I think there was the Impressions battle with Pamphlet versus Kraft. And I spoke to Pamphlet outside, actually. Makar did the filming. There was some really good interviews. And I gave it a very clickbaity title. But Pamphlet did say, so like, Don't Flop isn't Don't Flop anymore. That's one of my most watched videos. Madness versus O'Shea. There were some other clashes as well that went down. Jay Dillon battled himself, like a booze weed one as well. That's quite a good one. I'm trying to think of the other clash. I don't know if any actual clashes, went down. I don't know if it's like a sort of big cannon raptor situation. But yeah, that was another event that I went to as we push forward. Keenan Ronalds' birthday as well. Was that the year after? Must have been. That wasn't too long ago, was it? That was earlier. They all merged. They all merge. So that went down. Of course, Code Red. Code Red launch codes where Briggsy horribly bodied me. That was a good event though. Bobby versus Quill was a lot of fun on that one. Cool to see Jim's over as well, and Real Deal Raptor, and again, I was a bit in bit of a sort of dour fog for the majority of the event, preceding my decapitation. Empire Volume 3 as well. These are fucking great. Empire especially was a really good card. Hulk showed out against Chrome, and I really, really enjoyed Ted's Material versus Canal, and of course Center versus Shocks was a treat to see. And as I said before as well, Volume 3 and Empire. So Volume 2 as well, chalked out. I didn't see Volume 1, but I saw Volume 2 at Fiddler's, which was good. Again, some of the clashes are a bit off. It was great to see Soul versus Dialect. That was exceptional. Shufflo, Chris Lease wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be. Some of their tryout guys as well, I thought were a little haphazard. I mean, who am I to say anything? But I thought they were a little haphazard. There's some good ones like Frost versus Terminal. I thought Frost versus Terminal was really cool. And then again at the King of Roll's birthday as well, Frost versus Loxy. But as we get closer to the end, they are sort of merging into this gelatinous heap of 3-2-1s. Checkpoint 4 was another really good event because I got to go backstage and film a lot of interviews with Calico and clips. And I forgot to mention 8th birthday. 8th birthday pre-party I was at, I was the one responsible for bringing those girls to the front of the camera. I'm so fucking sorry. We sort of found each other outside, looking for the Google Maps waypoint, and I ushered them in. That was cool. Some good battles that went down there, but more than anything, it was my first real time with Don't Flop as an interviewer, doing a lot of cool stuff, speaking to Danger Zone and Chiller and Swave Sever. And yet again, Ryan Morgan is holding this footage hostage. I don't know why he's fucking doing this, but he is. So, yeah, maybe in the future you guys will see this. Spoke to Crafty and had a great interview with Zane as well, and Danny and Bear Solutions. And yeah, don't know where that footage is, but it's somewhere. So yeah, this kind of enters into the era of me being more of an interviewer, less of a out-and-out fan, I suppose. Kind of trying to balance those two. Checkpoint 4 was terrific, as I said. So many good battles in there. Great to see BA. Great to see Press versus Bilzar. Soul versus Shocks. Soul versus Shocks was so good. I mean, Scoop versus DNA as well. Some other ones that are maybe a bit more. Calico versus Raptor was a little bit of a letdown, but Clips versus Harry Baker was excellent. And I thought they both brought it in their own way, but obviously Harry is a practice professional in that approach, and Clips is a bit more of a journeyman, but his personality is just resonant. Now we're getting into the more recent events that I've went to. Summer Madness 8 was there with Beanie. We did a great recap of that. It was definitely one of the best events I've ever been to. The crowd were astonishing. They were alert. They were attentive. And they really, kind of catalyzed a lot of the performances I felt. And then the All-Star Game. The All-Star Game, which I went to last week, which the pay-per-view is probably still on sale by the time you're listening to this. Go subscribe to Premier Battles, the network, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, that's all the events that I've been to. So that's about 20 odd events. I know a lot of people have been to a lot more fucking events than I have, and I've missed out a lot of events in the past, but I like to think that I'm not going to miss too many in the future. There's leagues that I've never been to. I've never been to a Dub Scandal event. I've never been to a Gab event. Never been to a King of the Dot event. Never been to a URL event properly. Never been to an RBE event. iBattle. There's so many that I'd love to go to if I, had the funds to do that. But yeah. Let me know down below what your favourite event that you've been to, what your favourite moment that's happened at an event, what have you seen that wasn't captured on camera that you thought was worth noting. As always, follow me at BattleRapResume, get in touch with me, battleresume@gmail.com. This one has gone way longer than I thought. I thought it was going to be a quick half hour, but as is the way, I ramble on. I appreciate you listening. We've got lots of cool stuff coming up on the channel. We've got the Most Disliked King of the Ronalds thing, as I mentioned. We've got the WRC's recap as well. Lots of cool guests. Sprungy should be on the show soon. Remy D as well. And yeah, some other bigger names that I want to confirm first before I say they're coming on the show. But 2 guests in particular that are highly, highly requested, and their managers have been in touch and they want to do it. So we're gonna put that together. So yeah, this has been Tom, Battle Rap Resume, as always. Patreon.com/BattleRapResume if you want to help support the show. Again, comment below what events you enjoy. Follow us at Battle Resume. Subscribe. Thanks again, guys, and go to an event. They're fucking fun. All right, this is Tom. BRR.